I had a client move into Agritopia last year. Beautiful home, the most perfect street, everything she wanted on paper. And 6 months later, she called me and said, "This is not what I expected." And honestly, that call is the reason I'm making this video. Because what she didn't know going into it, nobody told her. There wasn't any YouTube videos she watched, and it's the one thing that determines whether Agritopia becomes the best decision you ever make or an expensive mistake you didn't see coming. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what she didn't know. And by the end, you're going to know exactly whether this neighborhood is the right fit for you or whether there's a better fit in Gilbert that nobody has shown you yet. I'm Alejandra with Moving to Arizona. My family moved here from California 10 years ago. And in that time, I have helped a lot of people buy their home in Agritopia. I've also had the harder conversation with buyers who fell in love with the neighborhood online, toured it in person, made an offer, moved in, and then called me 6 months later. Both experiences have taught me something. Agritopia is not a neighborhood you should buy based on the way that it looks. It was actually engineered to do something specific to the people who live in it. And if you don't understand what it was engineered to do, you might end up on the wrong side of it all. Most people don't know the real story behind Agritopia, and most agents don't talk about it. Here's what actually happened. The Johnston family farmed the land for many generations. And as Gilbert started exploding with development, every farm around them started getting sold. One by one, the pressure kept building on them. Eventually, the family had a decision to make. They could sell like everyone else. They chose to fight back. A member of the Johnston family, a Stanford-trained engineer, developed a vision that was genuinely radical for suburban Arizona. Instead of removing the farm and replacing it with a normal subdivision, they actually designed the neighborhood around the farm. And here's what makes that decision so significant. It wasn't just about preserving green space. It was about preserving a way of life, a way of living that the rest of Gilbert was actively bulldozing over. And that intention, that decision to resist, is embedded in every single design choice in this neighborhood. Which brings me to the thing most realtors don't say out loud to their clients. Agritopia was not designed to be pretty. It was designed to make you feel uncomfortable with isolation. Think about that for a second. The community has shorter walls, smaller setbacks, homes facing inward all towards a shared grassy pod, rear garages, front porches that put you in direct view of your neighbors. None of that is accidental. That is behavioral architecture. This neighborhood was literally engineered to force human connection, to make privacy feel slightly less comfortable than community. And here's why that matters for you as a buyer. If you're someone who genuinely wants connection, who wants kids running outside, neighbors that you actually know and hang out with, a block that feels alive with community, Agritopia will feel like the neighborhood you always wished you grew up in. I've actually heard my clients say that. But if you're someone who defaults to wanting more privacy, who wants tall block walls in your backyard, separation, a yard that belongs completely to you, Agritopia is going to quietly work against you. Not because anything is wrong with you, but because the neighborhood was designed with a very specific human being in mind. And knowing which one you are before you make an offer is the most important thing I can tell you. It is also what my client didn't know before she moved in. So before I ever recommend Agritopia to someone, I ask these 3 questions. And I'm going to ask them to you right now. Question 1. When you imagine your ideal Saturday morning, are you more likely to be inside your home or outside where your neighbors can see you? Remember, there's no wrong answer here, but your honest answer tells me almost everything I need to know. Question 2. How do you feel about a backyard that prioritizes charm over complete privacy? Because some sections of Agritopia have shorter walls, less separation than people expect at the price point they're buying. Discovering that after you've moved in is a different experience than knowing it before you even make an offer on a house. Question 3. Are you buying Agritopia for the lifestyle or for the investment? Because if your primary goal is the largest home for the money, I'm going to tell you directly, there's a lot better options in Gilbert for that. But if your priority is character, walkability, community, and a neighborhood that genuinely feels different from everything else in the East Valley, Agritopia is going to be very hard to beat. Those 3 questions are not a test. They're how I protect people from making a large, expensive decision just from a feeling they had from viewing a property. And honestly, this is one of the biggest reasons buyers reach out to me. Not because they need help finding homes. Most people can find homes online, that's easy. What they need help with is figuring out which neighborhood actually fits their lifestyle. If you're trying to decide between Agritopia and another Gilbert neighborhood, there's a link below where you can fill out a quick questionnaire and connect with me. I will personally follow up and help point you in the right direction. And I want to be clear about something. The people I've seen struggle with Agritopia, they didn't make a bad decision because the neighborhood is bad. They struggled because nobody had a direct conversation with them about what this neighborhood actually does to their daily life. The people who knew it beforehand, they thrive here. They chose behavioral architecture on purpose. They chose the community over privacy. They were not surprised by the shorter walls or the closer neighbors, because they understood the design and they loved it. So that's what I want for you, whether Agritopia ends up being your neighborhood or not. Now let me tell you a little bit about what the life actually looks like here, because this is the part that makes people fall in love with Agritopia. A normal Saturday in Agritopia might look like this. You can walk to the local coffee shop in the morning, pick up produce from the farm. You can have breakfast at Joe's Farm Grill, which, if you haven't heard of it, was features on diners, drive-ins, and dives. So people drive here from all over the valley just to eat there. You know, Guy Fieri doesn't just go anywhere. So that's a national validation of a neighborhood's identity sitting inside a single restaurant. Also, you're going to see kids biking through the pods in the afternoon. Dinner's going to be within walking distance. There's a ton of restaurants. You can be sitting on your front porch in the evening, watching the neighborhood breathe, the kids play. That is not a marketing description. That is what the people who live here, they actually do. And in suburban Arizona, where most beautiful neighborhoods are completely car dependent, that kind of walkable daily rhythm is very rare. And it's a significant part of why people pay a premium to live in this neighborhood. And why the people who get it, they really get it. Let's talk about the real estate here. Home prices in Agritopia currently range approximately between $700,000 to $850,000 at the median. Now, there are lower priced homes and there are higher priced homes. Any home that's been renovated, greenbelt lots, has a pool, has a basement, they're on average going to be over $1 million. And I want to talk more about the basement situation specifically because, again, most agents don't highlight this. Basements are actually very rare in Arizona. The soil conditions and climate make them more uncommon. Agritopia actually has them. A basement home in Agritopia is not just square footage upgrade. It's more like a unicorn in this market. And let me tell you, these homes are stunning. So when one comes available, it moves pretty fast. Now, a word on the inventory here. Agritopia is not a neighborhood where you can browse casually and choose from 20 homes available. People who buy here tend to stay here, so there tends to be less homes available. And when the right home comes up with the right lot and the right pod, the right privacy level, it tends to get attention fast. So if Agritopia is genuinely your target, you need to be prepared before you find the right home, not after. I want to be direct as well about the trade-offs of living here because I think you deserve that. That way you can make the best decision if you decide to move there. So some homes in Agritopia actually have smaller backyards than people expect at the price point they're buying. In other Gilbert neighborhoods, you're going to get a lot more for that same budget, more outdoor space. Some sections also have shorter walls and are going to feel more open than buyers are used to. Again, that's a feature for some people if you want more community, and it's going to be a deal breaker for others. The homes are not new construction. If your priority is the freshest finishes, the largest closets, the biggest garage, and a brand new floor pan, there are better options in Gilbert for that. And the pricing reflects the lifestyle and the scarcity of homes. It's not based on just square footage. You are paying for something that cannot be replicated, which means if the lifestyle is not the thing you're buying, the math is going to be harder to justify. Again, none of these are criticisms. I love the neighborhood. They're just things I want every person to know before they tour the neighborhood, before they fall in love. It's good to know all these things. And quick note on the schools, Agritopia is not served by Gilbert Public Schools. It actually falls within the Higley Unified School District. I say this every time because buyers assume Gilbert neighborhood means Gilbert schools. It does not always, unfortunately. Now, I will say Higley Unified is a strong school district, but boundaries shift and they vary by specific property. So if schools are going to be a driving force in your decision, I highly recommend you verify the exact address directly. Never assume. Now, here's the thing I keep coming back to about Agritopia. Most of Gilbert was built by developers optimizing profit per square foot. That's not a criticism, it's just how suburban development works. But Agritopia was built by a family that looked at everything happening around them and they wanted to make things different. All the farms were selling, every acre of open land was disappearing under concrete, and they wanted to do something different. They chose to resist, and what they built in that resistance has become the most coveted neighborhood in all of Gilbert. And I think people feel that when they walk through it, even just driving through. I love seeing the Christmas lights there. There's an intention here that most neighborhoods don't have. And for a certain kind of buyer, the kind who's been quietly frustrated by neighborhoods that look beautiful but feel empty and not connected, Agritopia answers something they've been looking for. If you're weighing Agritopia against another Gilbert neighborhood right now, I want to have that conversation with you. Not because I want to sell you on Agritopia, but because I have seen both sides of this decision. And I've seen buyers move in and realize within 6 months that the design was quietly working against how they actually wanted to live. The difference between those two outcomes almost always comes down to one conversation. And you want to do this before the offer, not after. Here's what I want you to do. If you're seriously considering Agritopia or honestly any neighborhood and you want help figuring out which area best fits your lifestyle, there's a link below. You can fill that out and get connected with me. I will reach out and help guide you through the process, whether that's going to be Agritopia, Morrison Ranch, Val Vista Lakes, Power Ranch, or any other neighborhood. My goal is to help you find the right fit before you make a decision that's so important. We will spend 15 minutes going through those 3 questions I mentioned, and by the end of the call, you will know whether Agritopia is actually your neighborhood or whether there's a better fit in Gilbert that nobody has shown you. My number is in the description, and if you're not quite ready to call, you can subscribe, and in the meantime, make sure you check out my Agritopia property tours so you can actually see the homes, because seeing them is going to help everything make a lot more sense. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.